that these principles guide us in our decision making. So prior to calling the meeting to order, please ensure people who are joining us by Zoom is on mute, and please be mindful of what's visible to the public in your surroundings. Please note this meeting is being recorded, and by continuing to be in the meeting, you're consenting to be leave meeting to opt out and exit the session. When it's time for public comments, I'll address participants by the name that was used to register for this virtual meeting. Once your name has been called, then please unmute your microphone or your telephone. All persons addressing the committee shall state their full name and mailing address and must direct their comments to myself, the chair. Decisions will be mailed or emailed to the applicant, agent, and to all other interested parties who have provided their mailing address and or email address to the Secretary Treasurer. Recent changes to the Province of Ontario Bill 23 More Homes Built Faster Act have changed who has the right to appeal decisions made by this committee. Other than the applicant, only a specified person or a public body as defined in section 1, subsection 1 of the Planning Act has the ability to appeal the decision of to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The notice of appeal for a minor variance application must be filed with the Secretary Treasurer within 20 days of the making of the decision. And the notice of appeal for a land division application must be filed with the Secretary Treasurer within 20 days of the mailing of the notice. The Secretary Treasurer for Kenora Planning Advisory Committee is all the city planner is Kevin. So we'll call this meeting to order then. Any additions to the agenda?
There are none, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, approval of minutes for the meeting held on September 19th. Under call to order, it was a regular.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, I found this after. But, and then under number 2, where it says additions, additional, the word "and" is sitting out by itself.
Okay.
And, okay. And so, oh yeah. For all of the commission, for all of the approvals, can we say that the committee approves, not the way it says now, it's recommendation for approval? How does it say? I don't have that. Instead of the word should be approved, is approved.
All right. I will make that recommendation to our minute taker.
So. Please. Jose and seconder. And so that's carried. I guess I should ask everybody to show of hands, thanks. All right, any correspondence relating to the applications before the committee tonight?
This is of correspondence for D10-2308 Hidden Trails. I will read them into the public record when we have that hearing. No other correspondence, Madam Chair. Yes, we have an adjournment request for D13-2319, the Ross application. Yes, Madam Chair.
And to be clear, that's a request from the city because of recent information that came to light.
So 2 applications for minor variance. We actually have one, sorry, Ross has been taken. So D13-2318. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to this application on the applicant or agent? . All right, so, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I would like to speak to this application.
Okay, so, Charlene, are you the applicant or the agent? Who's going to just present what the application's about?
Are you talking for file number D132318?
So what I was just wondering is if the owner or applicant wishes to explain their application. I think if you, I'm just surmising that you are probably looking to comment on the application. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so first of all, what will happen then, if there's nobody who wishes to speak, to explain the application, then Mr. Sumner, the city planner, will present the planning report. And then after that, we'll ask for comments from the public. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm the one that asked for the variance, Bruce Hord.
Okay, all right. So can you explain your application just briefly? What you want?
Yes, we had a shared dock between myself and the Cliffords and they removed it, stating it was on their property. So what I've had to do is build my own dock. The ministry over the years has put infill on the existing water. So my property has got less. The ministry has no problems with me putting it in there. All I want is enough room to get my boat in.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Sumner, then would you like to give the planning report? Please?
Yeah, certainly. So what we have here is an application for minor variance at 714 First Avenue South. The intent of the variance is to seek relief from section 3.34.1C2 of the bylaw, which states that a minimum side yard setback of 4.5 meters is required for accessory uses located between the principal building and the navigable waterway. So the way we interpret this in the case of structures that extend over the water, usually a dock, is the property lines are extended in a straight line where they meet the water, and the setback of the dock is 4.5 meter setback is measured from those extended property lines. So this property is located on the shoreline of Lake of the Woods with frontage on First Avenue South. It has been developed with a single detached dwelling in the rear portion of the property. It is serviced with municipal sewer and water. The property is immediately adjacent to the MNRF boat ramp, which provides access to the lake for boats in the summer and to the ice road in the winter. The property owner wishes this minor variance to permit the construction of a dock, as we've heard, and as they've illustrated in their site plan that they submitted the application. In order to build a dock on a narrow water frontage with sufficient space alongside to access from the lake, the applicant is requesting a reduction of the required side yard setbacks to provide sufficient space to permit the construction of the dock adjacent to the MNRF boat ramp on the east side, with room to access without restricting access to the docks on the neighboring property to the west. And you can see some images that we've provided in the report to help understand the picture of the situation there. So in terms of consistency with legislative policy and city directives, in regards to the provincial policy statement, the statement encourages appropriate development standards which facilitate intensification, redevelopment, and compact form while avoiding or mitigating risks to public health or safety. In regards to the growth plan for Northern Ontario, we are satisfied that the proposed variance is consistent with the policies of that plan. And in regards to the city of Kenora's official plan, the property is located in what we've deemed to be established area. The established area includes a mixture of uses that exist presently in the city. Designation of lands as established area indicates that there's little change in those areas over the lifetime of the plan. Whenever a use is permitted in a land use classification, it is intended that uses, buildings, or structures normally incidental, accessory, or essential to that use can also be permitted. So in this case, the dwelling on the property is a permitted use, and it's expected then that incidental or accessory uses then would be supported that support that structure. Under the zoning bylaw, the property is currently zoned R1 or residential first density zone. which primarily allows for development of single detached housing and other compatible uses on full municipal services or just municipal water. Section 3.34.1 of the zoning bylaw regulates the location of accessory buildings, uses and structures, and that be regardless of zone, all the accessory structures are regulated under this one section. And 3.34.1C2 states that where a dock is erected on a lot that abuts a navigable waterway, there's that minimum side yard setback of 4.5 meters. Due to the narrow width of the shoreline frontage, the applicant is proposing this variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback on the east side of the property to 0 meters, so the dock would be able to be located right alongside that extended property line, and 3.5 meters on the west side, so that'd be 3.5 meters clear, about 10, a little over about 11 feet, clear of the neighbor's property water, which happens to be a water lot that then they can maneuver their boat into access their dock. So we did circulate this for comment, and the only comments that we got back, the roads department just noted that they had no concerns as long as the dock doesn't project far enough to interfere with the access to the ice road or that ramp, and it wouldn't be possible with these variances to extend that far. They'd have to extend about 30 meters out to interfere with that dock. And then our water and wastewater section just noted that the construction must stay at least 10 feet or 3 meters from each side of the manhole that allowed access for repairs. And that manhole is located on the inland on the property. I think you can't quite see it on the photo that is provided, but it's in about 15 feet from the shoreline. We did circulate the notice in accordance with section 45 of the Act to neighboring property owners. As of the date of the report, and I don't believe we received any since, we've received one letter of opposition, which was provided to the committee in your package. The letter alleges that even with the requested variance, there is insufficient space for a dock to be placed on the proposed location. That the adjacent property to the east is a natural harborfront habitat area, and that the variance is not minor in nature. So turning to the 4 tests that must be applied to applications for minor variance. First, the question of does the application conform to the general intent of the official plan? The application, in my opinion, allows for the development of an accessory dock, which is otherwise permitted and supported under the plan. Second question, does the application conform to the general intent of the zoning bylaw? As per implementation of the official plan, the intent of the zoning bylaw is achieved where relief from a regulation may be granted if no negative impacts are anticipated. The proposed relief does not appear likely to impact upon any neighboring properties, with the exception of this section of zoning bylaw being varied. The proposed accessory use is otherwise permitted within the residential first density zone. And third test is the application desirable for appropriate development of the land, building, or structure. Desirable development that is compatible with established community, existing buildings, and development. And in my opinion, the proposed design of the dock, as indicated in the site plan that was provided by the applicant, will not interfere with the adjacent boat ramp or the manhole and sewer line that cross the property. And I should also know that there appears to be room for the property owner to navigate to his dock. It'll be tight, but without trespassing onto the neighboring water lot. And finally, is the proposed variance minor in nature? The proposed variance appears likely to have minor impact on neighboring properties and is the minimum alteration required to accommodate the proposed accessory dock. So my evaluation is, I do acknowledge that minor concerns were raised by the roads and water and wastewater departments. On review of the site plans, it appears unlikely that the proposed dock would interfere with the adjacent road, boat ramp and ice road access. Docks are only permitted to extend 20 meters from the shoreline, and a new dock would need to extend approximately 30 meters to reach the area where the boat ramp enters the Lake of the Woods. The sewer line and manhole are located at least 3.5 meters inland of the shoreline, well away from the area of the proposed dock. Though certainly if there are other structures planned for the shoreline in the future, it'll be something to be aware of. In regards to the concerns raised in the letter of opposition that was submitted, there is some question as to the accuracy of current maps, but the property owner has had the property lines surveyed out, and You can see in the one picture in the report, you can see the stakes that were installed by the surveyor to mark the property boundaries. And will be required to, the owner will have to respect those setback requirements if this variance is approved. No permit will be issued if the application for a building permit shows the docks are closer than 3.5 meters to that west property line. MNRF has not indicated any concerns regarding environmental impact of a new dock in this location, and section 8 of the report speaks to the question of whether this is a minor variance. And so given the small shoreline frontage available to the subject property, the proposed variance and associated dock location appears to be the best solution to enabling a dock to be built without interfering with docks that are. Therefore, I am recommending that the committee takes into regard all written and oral submissions received from the public, including any comments that may yet be received tonight, and that the application D13-23-18 to seek relief from the City of Kenora zoning bylaw 101-2015, section 3.34.1C2, to allow for an accessory dock to be constructed with a minimum east side yard setback of 0 meter and a minimum west side yard setback of 3.5 meters should be approved. And I apologize, I forgot when I was writing them, somehow missed this should be approved when I was drafting the report, but that was the intent. So with that, I conclude my report.
So is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Wishes to speak against the application?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe Charlene would like to make her comments now.
Hi, I just want to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present. I have sent in a document and I'm sure you've reviewed all the pictures and our concerns. What I do understand is that we're talking about a dock that's going to be 6 foot wide against the property, and the applicant has a boat that's 8 foot wide, giving us less than 3 feet of space between the property and our water line, our water lot. And so there is a concern in regards to us getting our boats out of the dock area, because boats are 16 feet at least long, and for us to back out because they are parallel to the lot. So there's concern on us having difficulty getting the boats out of their spots. Space is not adequate. Can I also ask, is it the M&R that should be asked about if it's okay with them, or should it be CBRE? I believe CBRE is the one that owns that lot right next door. So it manages the M&R lot. And that document and that property is also pie shaped, so it comes narrower at one end. So we are concerned about the space. I guess I can just leave it at that. We're just worried about the accessing to our property.
Thank you. So the property owners were circulated, and as it was in the report, MNRF had no concerns. So if CRBE was on.
They received a notice of.
So, and there were no comments received from them. So when that happens, it's usually taken that there are concerns. All right, so any questions or comments from the committee?
I visited that site today, and I am concerned trying to get ultimately basic process because they're floaters and we have to back up and out. And I don't understand how you could have a 6 foot wide dock with a boat parked inside it with enough navigable water to allow those boats to park next door to get out.
That's why we normally have the 4.5 meters. So we haven't measured the neighboring docks. They weren't the subject of this application, but there should be 4.5 meters clear between those floaters and the edge of the water lot, which is about 15 feet. So they should have 15 feet of width on which to navigate on their side of the extended property line without interfering over this person's, over the applicant's property.
That's what I'd wonder then.
Yeah.
It's also like the way that
There's a lot of docks on the neighbors. And they could choose to park them differently, like not have those underlines. It's not very public.
Yeah, well, the part of the, the reason for that 4.5 meters is really just to try to avoid situations like this, where, everybody with waterfront tends to want docks, and that 4.5 meters does help to keep people from running over top of each other.
Well, just on that same point, it looks like Bruce Ford, the applicant, will be able to get in and out without going over the property line. So is that one of the stipulations, Kevin, that you have to be able to get in and out of your docks within your water?
Well, it's not really, like, the intent of having that setback is to help.
Yeah.
Reduce those conflicts, in this case where it is a straight in, like he can maneuver straight in, it's gonna be tight, especially on low water years, but when the lake level is low, but that does seem, there's definitely want to lift your prop before you get too close in there, but it looks like it, it might be tight, but it should be possible.
Any comments or questions? So I just would like to echo, the other comments about, realigning of the existing dock that, belongs to Clifford's, and there are a lot of fingers on that dock that, I don't know if there was ever a variance done for that application for that property or not. But maybe realigning the way those boats are parked would alleviate that issue as well. And then allow both neighbors access to the lake. And backing in and backing out, or backing in and pulling out, pulling out is gonna be fine with the variance. And the field land, I looked at that too. It's filled with concrete and tires, and I don't know that it's gonna be an environmental impact to have a dock on that side as well. So, do I have a mover for, okay, approval? Okay, all right, seconder, okay, favor?
All right, so the decision being that the application. Oh.
Yeah.
To oppose. All right, so the decision being that application D13-23-18 for 714 First Avenue South, legally described as Plan M108, Part Lot 23, Part Lot 24, Parcel 13803, and Part Lot 24, Parcel 19963, to seek relief from the City of Kenora zoning bylaw 101-2015, section 3.34.1C2, to allow for an accessory dock to be constructed with a minimum east yard side yard setback of 0 meters and a minimum west yard side yard setback of 3.5 meters, meets the 4 tests and should be approved.
So.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Horde, for being with us here this evening and making your application to the City of Kenora. You have received provisional approval from the Planning Advisory Committee this evening. This approval is subject to a 20-day appeal period, and while you may apply for a building permit, no permit can be granted until this 20-day appeal period has passed. This will take us to November 7th of 2023. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact the planning department. Notice of this decision will be sent to you and to all associated parties with interest in this application on Thursday.
Okay, thank you very much.
2308 Hidden Trail. Is there somebody who wants to introduce us to this application?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. My name's Karen Malik. I'm here with my husband, Rob Malik. We're the owners of Hidden Trail. And I guess we're just here to address concerns and answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep, sure. So we have an application to create two lots on this property and that's zoned on the area of the two new lots as our rural residential zone. Now, just in regards to the map, there's a bit of confusion just because there's some potentially confusing maps. So there's references in the report to 41 and 161 Hidden Trails. So 161 is the former or the current Hidden Trails Resort, which is the resort at the south end of the property. The applicants purchased the rest of the land. So if you're looking at the front page of the report, the area that's outlined in red, or I think some of you have black and white, the southern of the three lots, or the retained lot, is the south part of that was the original Hidden Trails Resort, and then the north part of that and the two new lots were all part of the second property that they purchased. Those were then consolidated. So the residual lot does contain all of the original Hidden Trails Resort plus a portion to the north of that. And there is some question as to the legal status of the consolidation. I'll get to that in the recommendations. We just have some condition in there just to assure that consolidation has in fact gone through. So we don't accidentally create a landlocked property. So this property, the entirety of the property is 28.75 hectares. Located on either side of Hidden Trail Road on the shoreline of the channel between Upper and Lower Black Sturgeon Lake. The central portion of the property is largely tree covered with an area of wetland in the northwest corner. A single detached dwelling is located on a yard site in the northeastern corner of the property, and the resort I mentioned a few minutes ago that includes several cabins and a parking area for recreational vehicles and some accessory structures is located on the southern edge of the end of the property. All existing development is serviced with private well and septic fields. Hidden Trail Road extends on a public road allowance through the northern portion of the property and via an easement over the southern portion of the property at present, and then becomes a public road again after the Hidden Trails Resort, where it goes on to become to service a few lots to the south. The property previously consisted of multiple lots that have since been consolidated. One of the previous lots corresponds with the central proposed lots, while the other proposed lot and the residual lot do not correspond with the boundaries of the previous lots. The applicants indicate that the resort property, which they previously owned, is being consolidated, as I mentioned, on title with the recently acquired property. In terms of consistency with legislative policy and city directives, the provincial policy statement 2020, I believe that the application is generally consistent with the policies of the PPS, which promotes managing and directing land use to achieve efficient and resilient development and land use patterns. The PPS permits residential development, including lot creation that is locally appropriate, and states that development that is compatible with the rural landscape and can be sustained by rural service levels should be promoted. In terms of the official plan, the land use designation of the property is rural area, which provides for a variety of agricultural, residential, industrial, commercial, recreational, tourism, and open space uses. And the same designation applies to adjacent properties. Residential development in the rural area is restricted to single detached dwellings and relatively large lots serviced by private water and sewage. Development proposals are to be limited in scale and not detract from the planned role and function of the settlement area, and preserve rural character and the scenic quality of the rural landscape, avoiding densities that are more appropriate to the settlement area. The northern shoreline area of the property is adjacent to an identified fish spawning and nursing area. The applicants have submitted a fish habitat assessment completed in 2019, which recommends there be no shoreline development along this portion of the shoreline, corresponding with the easternmost proposed lot, and no removal of vegetation in the riparian area extending 20 meters inland from the shoreline. Policy 8.11.4E requires that when one or more building lots are created, the city shall receive the cash equivalent of 5% of the land based on current assessment. And that would be the assessment based on the value of the land, not the buildings and other improvements that have been constructed on the land over the years. And finally, the zoning bylaw, in regards to the zoning bylaw number 101-2015, majority of the property is zoned RR or rural residential, which is subject to the regulations of section 4.5 of the bylaw. Shoreline lots in this zone must have a minimum shoreline frontage of 61 meters, a minimum road frontage of 11 meters, and a minimum lot area of 1 hectare. The size and frontage of each of the proposed lots and residual lots are summarized in table 1. A minor variance will be required to reduce the required shoreline frontage from 61 meters to 55.2 meters and 60.2 meters for the proposed new lots. The southern portion of the property containing the resort is zone TR or tourist recreational zone. Development on this portion of the property is subject to the regulations of section 4.9 of the bylaw, which requires the lot size of 1 hectare and minimum frontage of 25 meters with no if there's no piping of civil services. And section 3.20 of the bylaw requires that when a built property has multiple zones, the most restrictive provisions, in this case, the RR frontage requirement, must be complied with. On that note too, though, while the more restrictive provision is provided in terms to broad requirements like frontage and minimum lot area, when it gets to uses are restricted on those portions of the property that are zoned. So in the case of the TR zone on the south end of the property, any TR related uses like resorts or like the current resort or other similar uses cannot expand onto the rural residentially zoned area of the property. So even though there will be one lot, if this is approved on the southern end, that doesn't mean that the resort can expand into that lot. That would require a zoning amendment to rezone that northern portion of the lot to TR, which would be a separate public process, and people would have the opinion or the opportunity to weigh in on it and voice their opinions, and it would come back to PAC for a recommendation to council. In terms of interdepartmental and agency circulation, the only comments that were received in response to that circulation, first from the engineering department, first of all, which stated that the city will require that the roadway running through the resort be properly surveyed, including allowance for the ditches on both sides, and have the roads and ditches be transferred to the city. And MNRF noted that the property is located within CLUPA General Use Area G2598 or Q8. The policy report for this area recommends minimum frontages of 46 meters and depths of 90 meters for future private lots. And the proposed lots do appear to meet those recommendations, and I would confirm that. Our records, the MNRF's records indicate the presence of a northern pike spawning habitat adjacent to the property. However, as it appears there are existing upland improvements and docks on the proposed lots, we are not recommending additional study at that time, though, as I noted, there was that 2019 fish habitat assessment that we can refer to. Circulation of the notice was completed in accordance with section 53 of the Planning Act, and as of the date of the writing of this report, no public comments have been received. Albert, though, we did receive a late comment today, if you'd like to read that into the record at this point.
All right, comment received today. Attention Planning Committee, following up on the Hidden Trails Road property and the abutting property, remainder of the Darroward severed land that they purchased. So it would become one, so they could expand. The first map sent out to the public was a copy of the remainder piece of the Darroward severance, which is zoned rural residential. And they want to sever off some of the large acreage into 2 lots, but the remainder is where the Republic needs to know if planning is going to allow this piece to become tourist recreational, which will allow all kinds of expansion, or will it remain rural residential? I understand in the city, if you buy adjoining property, it becomes one. Not sure why, but it should not automatically change the zoning without public awareness. My family and neighbor are very concerned and feel before any of this moves forward, that the public is made aware in detail how this is going to affect our property and impact the lake itself. If you are aware, they is only a 20-foot right away that goes through 7 lots before getting to the camp. And an impact study should also be done on how the road will be handled. Any more traffic that does now, if this land is rezoned to tourist recreational. So at the end of the day, a budding neighbor are not in favor of any more land around our family dwelling to be zoned to tourist recreational. Would you be? If this is not the case, please advise us before we look into alternatives. I will also forward a copy of the original letter that was sent to the city. Please take the time to view it, and especially section 4.18 of the zoning bylaw and the restrictions. Thank you. I also have a copy of the original letter if you wish to hear it.
Yeah, I guess it was an attachment, so this was dated, just make sure.
This is dated May 4th, 2021.
This wasn't in, I don't think we had any previous applications at that time.
So, what is your opinion, Mr. Secretary, is that something that forms part of it, that it's kind of
Yeah, I would recommend the reading of this letter, Madam Chair. All right, so dear Mr. Sumner, I recently contacted you regarding zoning bylaw compliance with City of Kenora's zoning bylaw for Hidden Trails Resort located at 162 Hidden Trail Road. Hidden Trails Resort was established over 50 years ago with lakefront cabins. The resort has lakefront cabins for rent, which are consistent with the use established many years ago. However, there are numerous, over 20, trailer sites which are far from temporary. These sites started as camping trailers, which have now become permanent structures with permanent added docks, porches, sunrooms, and doubling living spaces. They have added bathrooms, bedrooms, and other permanent structures that are outside the permanent use. There are 4 permanent year-round houses and residents living in these houses. The property is zoned tourist recreational and under City of Kenora zoning bylaw 101/2015, section 4.8.4. This zoning allows for a variety of accommodations to be established for recreational and tourism purposes. Permitted uses include resorts, marinas, campgrounds, and more. Regulations in this zone indicate that 4.8.41, a maximum of 1 dwelling unit shall be permitted as an accessory use to any commercial use. The dwelling unit must be occupied by the business owner, caretaker, security guard, or similar employee. Hidden Trails Resort has 4 permanent year-round residences on this property. Section K indicates that rental units within the permitted resort, motel, or campground, the minimum total gross floor area of 20 square meters or 215.27 square feet per unit. These units far exceed section 1 for any convenience store, accessory, or permitted resort, motel, or campground. The maximum total gross floor area of the convenience store use shall be 300 meters square. He has openly stated on his website that they are no longer operating bait shops, store, or gas services, and is now occupied only as a home. For lots abutting the non-surveyed roadway, the front property line shall be deemed to be 10 meters from the center line of the roadway. All zone regulations shall now fall from this measurement. This property roadway runs directly through the expanded resort development and requires a roadway property lines do not meet the 10 meters. This location, paying taxes based on seasonal tourist recreational property, has continued to expand and add non-conforming housing establishments which are not permitted or intended for this use. They have added docks without Ministry of Natural Resources approval and expanded the resort buildings with no building permits. There is a significant history with this location, of which the Township of Jaffrey Malloch allows a subdivision at the beginning of Hidden Trails Resort, as well as at the end of Hidden Trails Road. Over the years, there has been a significant impact to the volume of traffic on this road, and the city only owns a 20-foot right-of-way with the balance of the roadway on the private properties. Further, section 4.18 of the city's zoning bylaw, Black Sturgeon Lake Restricted Development Area Zone, indicates that the purpose of the Black Sturgeon Lake Restricted Development Area Zone is to implement the Black Sturgeon Lake Special Policy Overlay in the city's official plan. It outlines the zone regulates of which this property far exceeds. We are concerned with the impacts of the Black Sturgeon Lake from past sewer and septic certificates that were approved based on significantly different capacities as it stands today. It is very important for the safety of Black Sturgeon waterways and that nothing is leaching into it given the sheer volume of expansion. Further, as a public resort, they are required to have water purification systems for a safe supply of drinking water. Although I cannot confirm the status of their water filtration system, I suspect that this is also non-compliant given the sheer volume of new permanent structures on this site. The residents of this area are frustrated. The issue of fairness in taxation for this non-compliant business owner who pays less in taxes than the others for residential housing in the area is inequitable. I have raised the issue with the city of Kenora on several occasions in the past and would like the matter investigated. I encourage you to visit the site, assess all of the added site properties, and observe for yourself the development that has taken place. There are several sites that indicate for sale on the structures. By visiting this location, it will demonstrate that the vast expansion of a resort into a permanent structure that have not been approved by building permits demonstrates that there are more permanent residents than permitted and demonstrates the expansion of this resort to more than a tourist recreational property that it is currently zoned for. I respect and understand that you have many matters of compliance throughout the city. I have been patient with my requests, but would respectfully request this matter be given serious consideration and a full investigation into compliance. The issues of fairness is important to surrounding neighbors, but also the fact that other citizens and businesses owners adhere to the rules and regulations of the established by the city. This business owner does not. Respectfully, the undersigned.
Yes, certainly. So moving on to my evaluation, if approved, the proposed new lots will allow for development of new building site on the central lot to supply local housing, with the existing dwelling and resort each occupying the other two lots. The application is supported by the policies of the provincial policy statement and the official plan. A minor variance will be required to reduce the waterfront frontage on the two northern lots to achieve compliance with the regulations of the RR zone. The current road through the resort does not align with an easement that was previously put in place, and as I included an image in the report here showing the area in called purple is the area of the easement where you can see the road sort of wanders off to the southeast as it goes across the property and doesn't follow the easement. We don't know why the easement wasn't surveyed more accurately, but it is what it is. So the remainder of the Hidden Trails Road outside the resort in both directions has previously been surveyed and transferred to the city. The engineering department is requesting the remaining section be surveyed out and transferred to the city as a condition of approval. So that'd be a survey of the existing road bed and the ditches to accurately transfer the actual road. Opening a public road through the resort will naturally divide the proposed lot into two segments, which in accordance with provincial legislation may be lawfully registered on separate titles. The same is true for the other proposed lots, which are divided by an existing public road. Thus unintentionally creating three additional lots. This may be mitigated by registering a merger agreement on title for each of the proposed sets of lots, following the consolidation of the pins as everything gets registered on the reference plan. I note for the record the legislative framework for consent approval. I won't read through that whole section, but I'll skip forward to the recommendation, which is that application D10-23-08 for consent severance on property located at 41 Hidden Trails Road. And I offer the legal description there. I won't read the whole thing. Be approved and provisional consent be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, the original executed transfer / deed of land form, a duplicate original and 1 photocopy for city's records be provided on each parcel. 2, that registration of a merger agreement on title for each of the proposed lots following the consolidation of the property identification numbers or PINs. Schedule of the transfer/deed of land form, which is set out the entire legal description of PINs in question and containing the names of the parties indicated on page 1 of the transfer/deed of land form to be provided for each parcel. 4, that the roadway running through the resort be surveyed to the satisfaction of the city of Kenora and transferred to the city. 5, that a minor variance be obtained, reducing the required waterfront frontage of the 2 new lots from 61 meters to 60.2 meters and 55.2 meters. 6, that the cash equivalent of 5% of the land based on current value assessment be provided as required under the city of Kenora official plan, policy 8.11.4E. 7, that approved permits be received from the Northwestern Health Unit for private servicing of proposed new central lot. So it should be approved permit in the singular, sorry. 8, that confirmation is provided that the 2 previously existing properties, 41 and 162 Hidden Trail Road, have been merged on a single title. 9, that 3 original copies and 1 PDF copy of the reference plan of survey bearing the land registry office registration number and signatures as evidence of deposit therein and illustrating the parts to which the consent approval relates, which must show in general the same area and dimensions as the sketch forming part of the application be provided. 10, that the payment of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest and any local improvement charges, if applicable, shall be paid to the city of Kenora. 11, that an application for an entrance permit for the new lot is received and approved by the city of Kenora. 12, that prior to endorsement of the deeds, the secretary treasurer shall receive a letter from the owner or owner's agent/solicitor confirming that conditions number 1 through, it should be actually 1 through 11 have been fulfilled. Clearance from the city of Kenora and external agencies as required are to be included. And finally, 13, that all costs associated with surveys, legal fees, and matters related to the application are the responsibility of the developer/applicant, with the exception of condition 4 above, which is to be negotiated between the developer/applicant and the city of Kenora. So that'd be the cost of surveying out that road. I do note for the record that section 5341 and 5343 of the Planning Act apply. And with that, I conclude my report.
Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this application?
It's Karen Malik here, one of the owners. I don't know if this is an appropriate time to comment, but I just wanted to say that when we bought the resort in 2016, we were completely unaware of any compliance issues. We bought it the way it was. And since the letter that was just read out was brought to our attention, we've literally invested hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to fix what's wrong. The cabanas and whatnot that was mentioned in there have all now been removed. And the comment about that the store had been turned into a home is not accurate. It's just one of the cabins. It was originally a cabin converted to a store before we bought and has now been converted back to a cabin. And we're working quite closely with the planning committee and the Northwest Health Unit and the ministry to make sure our sewer is upgraded properly, that sort of thing. No intention of asking for any kind of rezoning for the rural residential. We have every intention of keeping it just attached to the camp, but rural residential, quite aware that we can't expand into that. And open to any questions you might have about that letter. It sounds very, very damning to us and our intentions. And we are absolutely just trying to keep an 80-year-old camp running. And, if you have any comments or questions for us, we're open to answer those. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Sorry?
Madam Chair, we've had a request for you to speak a little louder.
Okay. I'll try. Is that better? Okay, I don't see anybody who wishes to support this application. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition to the application?
Pardon me, Madam Chair, we have had a recent joiner for this meeting. I believe his name is Jerry. He may wish to speak to this Hidden Trails application, and I'm identifying that we are discussing E10-2308.
So.
Having technical difficulties with this. Perhaps, Madam Chair, if we give this a little time for the Planning Advisory Committee to have its discussion, we can return back to see if Jerry would like to speak.
I just mostly want to clarify. So we're developing 2 new lots. So we're severing 1 lot into 3. Because at some point you said lot, and this is for you, Kevin.
Okay.
Just to clarify, how many new lots are we developing?
So there's previously several lots on this property that over the years have been consolidated. Basically, when you own adjacent properties in Ontario that have just been surveyed out by reference plan, if you own 2 adjacent properties under the same name, they can become automatically consolidated. I won't go into legalese, but you know, essentially it happens straight through the land registry system. It's no involvement of the city of Kenora.
So see, lots of reference. Okay.
So at one point, there was about 5 lots here at present. Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, you are requested again to please speak up.
When they purchased this property, they then had the original property at 41 Hidden Trails plus this 162 Hidden Trails that had previously been a few lots. And then they believed that it was consolidated or in the process of being consolidated with their existing property because it was under the same ownership. So last year there would have been 2 lots on these properties. So now they're going back from what they believe is 1, and we're just want to make sure of that by making sure there's a consolidation that's gone through, but it will be going back from 1 to 3 lots now. So they're technically creating 2 new lots, though you know historically, you know, they're not as new as other lots that are created, if that makes sense.
Okay, and then so the other, do you mind if I have one? Okay, the 2 proposed lots, and this is maybe a question for Karen Mallett. Do they each have properties on them currently?
So the easternmost of the 2 new lots, I can just jump in there. So there's a dwelling and associated accessory structures on the eastern lot of the 2 that's being created. And the central lot is
This is the eastern lot?
yes. So if you look right along the eastern edge, you can sort of see it's hard with black and white.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's right, it's really squeezed up against the neighboring property. In fact, there's a bit of a zigzag property line there because a few years ago they realized it was actually too close. This was a previous owner realized they were too close to that property line and had to. Yeah, that's the. Yeah, and I believe that was around 2017 or 18. But so that's why there's a bit of a weird line there. And then the central lot that's being created, that's completely undeveloped. We have no record of there being any previous development of that property.
And then my next one is in regard to the fish habitat report. And is it the east lot then that has the
Yeah,
the
so
issue?
if you look at the official plan map, or sorry, it shows up on the zoning map. Where that's map figure 4 in the report. If you look on the waterfront area there, and it might not show up very well in black and white, but you can see a sort of it's an EP zone that's being applied over the water there. So that's the area that was identified as fish habitat in that 2019 study.
And
Is that the purple area?
Yeah, purple or pink or, yeah.
And so they can't build a dock?
No, not in that, yeah, and then they have to actually preserve the riparian area going back 20 meters inland, so. I believe there's one old, a dock that's been there for some considerable time that's in that area, but no new docks would be permitted.
So I was wondering, does that need to be a condition?
No, well, that's an effect, that affects the property at present and will affect the 2 new lots if they're created.
Oh,
We
so
have
that
that.
doesn't need to be added, okay. And then my last point, and then I'm done, thank you for your patience.
And I will note that this is on the shoreline of Black Sturgeon Lake, so all shoreline development, Black Sturgeon Lake is subject to site plan control, so we have to approve any shoreline structures that come in the future.
Yeah, my last comment was just about the long letter from 2019, I think it was. Is that the
Yes, that's
okay.
right.
I mean, that listed a
2021.
number,
Sorry.
2021.
that was 2021, okay. It listed a number of bylaw concerns, but in my mind, that's not part of this decision.
Yeah, I think the applicants have already spoken to the actions they've taken in response to that letter. Any discussion of that would be get into the area of enforcement, which is something we don't talk about publicly in regards to an individual property. But it's relevant because somebody, an opponent has submitted it, but I can say that in regards to the issues, concerns that were raised, there's no ongoing active enforcement with regards to this property. There have been a number of improvements made that the applicants have already detailed a few minutes ago for various reasons to bring the property, as they stated, into compliance with our current regulations.
But to Jay's point, the fact that we're voting whether 2 new lots should be, I just don't see the relevance of the letter to that.
Yeah, I don't believe that the concerns raised are relevant to the creation of two new lots, but I certainly recognize that any member of the public has the right to raise whatever concerns they feel for the committee's consideration.
And both. So there's encroachment into the R zone of the coast recreational uses, right? So I think a lot of that, a lot of those constraints should be legally about that. Yes.
Madam Chair, Jerry is now available to make comments if he so chooses.
If you wouldn't mind just giving us your name and address, please.
He is not on mute, Madam Chair.
Jerry, can you hear me? Right now.
Jerry, can you hear us? You appear to be having technical difficulty, Madam Chair.
So
I do not know the direct line for the boardroom.
The phone numbers on the Zoom invite. You sent him the Zoom invite or just this thing?
I sent him
Oh,
the,
there's a toll-free number
Yeah.
there. Yeah, there's a toll-free number on the agenda.
I believe that may be how he has tried to connect with us. He appears to be using an iPhone.
Oh, sorry.
yes. Right, he's an assignment. You texted him?
No, he's joined us using his iPhone. No,
How do you know that he's here?
because I admitted him to the meeting and have been waiting to him. Yeah.
Getting to Jerry? No. Okay, can we just- So why don't we call Jerry? Do you have his number?
I do not. My communication with him has been through email only, Madam Chair.
There wasn't one on that letter.
So Jerry, if you can hear us and you can't speak back to us, we're trying to get your phone number and we're going to try and communicate with you in a different way.
Unfortunately, I only have a mailing address on the correspondence provided to the city, Madam Chair.
So Jerry. If you can and try that phone number again. And somebody, Heather, what would you like to say, Heather?
Albrecht, I've provided you the person's phone number in the chat.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Or sorry, thank you very much, Heather.
Pretty quick. You dial it on the speakerphone there so we can hear it on the.
Still on the phone.
Jerry,
Don't have to.
could you hang up, please? So we can call you?
Yeah. I think, well, you just have to dial 807. Did you dial 1-807? Yeah. Yeah, just. No, just 807 and then, because yeah, we'll sometimes get, if I dial 1-807 by mistake, it'll sometimes just come as busy 548. Yeah.
I got it.
Not in the meeting?
Jerry, we are closing your meeting invite so that we can give you a telephone call. Yeah.
4590.
Yes.
Cell phone. 548. That's not bad.
So,
Cell phone.
another phone number for Jerry. So while we're getting this kind of organized, question.
I have questions about the road that we're gonna take ownership of, because I do believe that Black Sturgeon Lake, the roads around there had some major issues. And so I have concerns as a taxpayer of taking on another road that's gonna have some major issues. And extra plowing and services.
The city, because we have public roads on either side, the city's been plowing up there anyways. And then we have made some improvements in recent years because there's drainage that comes down that road and part of it, assuming the ditches is that we maybe be able to get in, maybe do and set it up, to maybe address some of the drainage situations there. I know the property owners have been in talks with us and have removed a couple of structures that had over top of the ditches that were causing concerns for us being able to clear snow through there. So it's been a work in progress as far as addressing some of the issues there. But I don't expect that they'll, other than surveying out the road allowance, the maintenance has to be done through there anyways, because it's the wisdom of years past, it was deemed appropriate to have a public road that relied on access through this property to service 8 lots on the south side of the property. I think correct.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions? So, we're gonna try Jerry again and see if that works.
Don't have this one more time.
Yeah. You can see the phone number on the screen.
548. Yeah, it's no 1, no 9, it's grade 807.
So, so this is the same person who wrote the letters, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So are you aware of anything new that this person would have to say?
I am not, Madam Chair.
The 2021 letter and the covering email, which Albert read, were received this afternoon. So they're quite correct.
So does the committee feel about accepting the correspondence that was received today? And do you feel that was probably going to be deliberated tonight, or do you think there are more comments we need to hear? For this decision speech.
I think that it, I mean, I can't speak for Jerry, but I don't know what new information would be provided. But I also question whether it is necessarily relevant to the severance. Right, because we're dealing with 2 separate parcels, and it sounds like the comments are related to the tourist zone.
How does everybody feel? Everybody? All right, so I just have a comment about the money. Why was it, sorry?
Madam Chair, because we are having this issue and an individual of the public has decided that they would like to make comment, I feel it's in the city of Kenora's best interest to defer this application until a time that this individual has the opportunity to make their opinions known.
Application.
So my comment is, as a judicial, I think we do need to go by the advice of the Secretary Treasurer when we receive that advice. Because if there ever was an appeal of our decision, it's really how you made that decision and whether or not you allowed every opportunity for public comment, I think. So I will move that we accept that advice. And defer this application until November. And we have something either in writing from Jerry, or if we can somehow make sure that he can make his comments known, then we can be rest assured that we sort of done everything we can to hear what has to say, and leave the city then blameless if something happens, to be honest. So that's what I would think would be the wisest way to go.
We have one more report to go through tonight as well.
Yes.
So could we not try to circle back to Jerry a little later on in the evening as well?
Yeah.
Give another opportunity.
How does everybody feel about that?
That's right.
Should move to adjourn
Yeah,
the
so-
public meeting until later this evening.
So that's what we'll need. We'll need to, have a meeting to adjourn until after, we hear D 14.308. There's one that needs in them, so at whatever time it is, I'm not sure what time it is. And what's the finger?
It's 7:10, Madam Chair.
So. All right, so we are going forward with recommendations to council for a zoning bylaw. So is the thought of this D 1408 5054849 Ontario Limited. Is there anybody in attendance who wishes to present this application? No. How about that? Is there somebody?
Yeah,
So. it looks
I-
like- Someone to-
Move that a little bit closer to you.
See, the audio is coming through Albert. I wonder if the mic is also.
Oh.
Okay.
That
So
was
we're-
plugged in.
We keep this down.
Albert, can you move down to that end of the table?
yes, I can.
That's what she's.
Thank you.
We'll have to test before the next meeting.
Yes. I've got.
Hey, so can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good, perfect, excellent, thank you. All right, so I'll just go over that we are going to be hearing an application so that the committee can either recommend or not to council for a zoning bylaw amendment for D 14-2308-50-54849 Ont Limited. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak to this application? Who wants to present it?
Yeah, hi there. My name is Danny Thalman. I'm one of the owners of 505-4849 Ontario Ltd. And I'm just here just as a representative to answer any questions or any concerns that anybody may have.
Okay, thank you, Danny. All right, Mr. Sumner, would you like to present that planning report then, please?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, like you can hear me. Too annoying if I'm shouting at the rest of everybody in the room. So we have an application here for a zoning amendment for an unaddressed property on Darlington Drive. To change the zoning of the property from RU or rural zone to ML or light industrial zone to allow for the development of a warehouse and office building on the property. In the planning rationale that's being included with the package, the agent describes the proposed project as consisting of both an administrative office and distribution warehouse for parcel drop off and distribution as a hub for tech truck delivery / transportation business. The applicants have voluntarily provided a phase 1 environmental site assessment that has identified no areas of potential environmental concern. That assessment was not required by the city of Kenora. The property has an area of approximately 3.97 hectares and is located on the north side of Darlington Drive. It is not serviced. The western half of the property is tree covered and undeveloped. The eastern portion was previously used for a concrete batch plant. Temporary structures currently located on the property will be demolished to make way for distribution center development. There is an electrical transmission line located immediately north of the property, and a natural gas pipeline is located approximately 150 meters north of the property. In regards to the legislative policy and city directives, under the provincial policy statement, that statement encourages redevelopment within settlement areas and that land use patterns include a mix of land uses which efficiently use land and resources, are appropriate for and efficiently use available infrastructure and support redevelopment. The growth plan for Northern Ontario has been reviewed and planning staff are satisfied that the proposed zoning amendments consistent with policies of that plan. In terms of the city of Kenora official plan, this land use designation of the property and all of the surrounding properties is rural. Policy 4.8 of the plan states that rural areas include a variety of agricultural, residential, industrial, commercial, recreational, tourism, and open space uses, and that these areas may experience limited change over the lifetime of the plan. In regards to the zoning bylaw, the property is currently zoned RU, or rural zone, which allows for a wide range of uses and services to meet the needs of residents, businesses, and tourists. Offices and warehouse uses, though, are not permitted in the RU zone. The agent is proposing to amend the zoning to ML, or light industrial zone. The ML zone allows for a wide range of low impact light industrial uses as well as complementary commercial uses. Both office and warehouse uses are permitted in the ML zone. We did circulate this for interdepartmental and agency comments. The only comments we received back were from Northwestern Health Unit, who noted that a file has been opened and a public health inspector will complete an on-site inspection and provide a report. So that will be available to us when they move forward to applying for permits for redevelopment of the property. Notice of this application was given in accordance with section 34 of the Planning Act. The notice stated that we'd be having this meeting tonight and that the minutes and relevant resolution from this meeting will be forwarded to council for their information. And the council will be meeting on November 8th to make for their own statutory public meeting and make a decision later, usually later in the same month. As of the date of the report, and since there have been no comments received from members of the public either for or against the proposed amendment. So my evaluation is that there's been no concerns identified through the internal review or from the public. The provincial policy statement, the growth plans for Northern Ontario and the official plan are supportive of the zoning amendment. The location on Darlington Drive, which is upgraded in 2021 to support year-round heavy loads, is suitable for businesses such as the one proposed, which requires access for truck deliveries from the highway, or from the Highway 7 bypass. Though not required, the applicants have voluntarily provided a phase 1 environmental site assessment that confirms there are no areas of potential environmental concern on the site. The property is located in close proximity to TransCanada Energy and Hydro One facilities, but both utilities have confirmed that they have no concerns with the proposed zoning amendment. So it's therefore my recommendation that the application for zoning amendment file number D14-23-08 is change the zone of the subject property from RU or rural zone to ML or light industrial zone should be recommended for approval by City of Kenora Council.
Okay. Danny, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think Kevin got everything perfect there.
Okay, thank you. Any committee members have any questions or comments?
No question. I was just like to know from Kevin, what other examples of light industrial could occur in that?
Yeah, certainly. So the light industrial zone, and rather than trying to rely on my memory, just give me 1 second here, and I'll just flip right to the ML uses table on our zone model. Right here. So there's a wide variety of uses that would be supported. So I'll give you some examples instead of reading an exhaustive list of about 30 uses here, but things such as automobile dealerships, body shops, service stations, auto rental establishments, drive-through facilities, contractor services, emergency services, financial establishments, food processing plants, forestry uses, outdoor recreation facilities, service and repair shops, snow disposal facility, transportation depot, warehouses. Part of the reason. So I think that gives you sort of generally, I'd say, it's not quite as commercial sport as say a highway commercial zone would be in terms of a variety of commercial uses, but it does sport the sort of that light industrial sort of contractor yards, light processing, sort of low impact, low nuisance, generally low nuisance types of uses. Thank you.
So the comment was made that there's no servicing on the site right now, so that means that power would have to be brought in and.
No municipal services,
Oh,
sorry,
no.
so no municipal sewer and water. I believe there is hydro, there's a substation right next door, and I think there's hydro, there should be hydro lines, close proximity. And I believe, and I just can't recall from when I did my site visit if there was evidence of hydro service. I'd be surprised if that concrete batch processing.
Yeah, that's
didn't have hydro there, though it may be temporarily removed or cut back.
I'm fairly certain.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? No? Alrighty. May I have a mover then for the approval of this recommendation? Okay, Kara, and second, okay, Robert. Right, would you mind reading that out, please, sir?
All right, resolved that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends to the Council of the Corporation of the City of Kenora approval of application for zoning bylaw amendment file number D14-2308 for subject property located at an unaddressed property legally described as location CL 14346 RP 23R 11394 parts 1 and 2 and identified in Schedule A of this resolution or of this recommendation.
So. So we have a motion for approval. So I'll call for the vote again then. You were able to hear us? Yeah. Okay, so all in favor then? Okay, so that's carried.
All right, thank you for being with us here this evening, Danny. You have received approval, which will be brought forward to the City Council of the Corporation of the City of Kenora at their open and closed meetings in November. You will have the opportunity to present again at those meetings, and a decision on this zoning amendment will be made at those times.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate everybody's time and looking into this application for us.
Thank you. So have we made any progress with Jerry?
Been able to make progress. I will try his telephone number one more time.
Okay, that would be great.
Pardon me while I just pull up. Here we are.
Okay, so can we move back into a public meeting? Can I have a motion to do that, please? Okay, Robert, second. Jay? All in favor? Thank you.
Yeah, motion we can
Yeah.
Hello, may I please speak with Jerry Darroward? Hi, Jerry. This is the Planning Advisory Committee. We are phoning to get in touch with you to hear your comments on application D10-2308. We were having technical difficulties before.
Okay, and Jerry, just so you know, you are on speaker and the people who are on the Zoom meeting can hear you as well, okay? Okay, so what comments do you have, Jerry?
Jennifer Kalo. And I replied back to her, thanking her very much for the information. And I stated in the letter that I had sent that it was great that they wanted to separate their property to large acreage in smaller pieces. And our concern as neighbors and my also neighbor is whether the remaining was going to be rezoned. Which that was already answered by Janet.
Oh, okay, good. So you do understand then that the TR zone uses are going to stay where they are then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any other comments then with that?
No.
Okay.
Wrote the property to them months ago. I thought it was good, which it is good. Our concern is in the neighborhood and our family dwellings being affected by any expansion that may happen at the camp. And this is not, that has nothing to do with this, according to Janet Picalo.
Right.
So yeah, it's great.
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate your comments then.
Yeah.
And they'll
thank you
form
very
part of
much.
the public record.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Okay, so I did have a question to both minor variants. Why wasn't that brought forward at the same time? Is there a reason?
The short answer is we didn't catch it in time.
Okay.
It was overlooked during the pre-consultation, and that's
Okay.
entirely on myself. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
catch it.
That's okay. No, I just wondered if there, you know, there was some logistical thing. So will we be seeing that application coming forward then?
We haven't received the formal application yet, but yeah, if this is approved, I expect the applicants will probably move forward with that.
Okay. So just back to the committee one more time, just to make sure after what we've heard, has anybody got any comments or questions? Yeah, all right. Would you mind please reading the motion? And can I just suggest, and I that if we have a great big long legal description, you just need to say insert legal description, and then we'll just we assume that you'll double check that when you're doing your decisions. That's all.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so, this decision, that application D 10-23-08 for consent of lot severance on property located at 41 Hidden Trails Road, legally described as long legal description, pins number 42134-0278, 42134-0279, and 42134-0601 be approved and provisional consent be granted, subject to the conditions identified in the planning report.
Okay, Renee, seconder, under. All right, all in favor? Okay, that's everybody.
All right, thank you, Malix, for being with us here this evening and making your application. You have received provisional approval of your consent application. This is subject to the conditions identified in the planning report, which you will have the next 2 years to complete. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I will be sending you out a notice of this decision on Thursday.
Thank you to Madam Chairman and the committee members, particularly Kevin and Alberic, for all your help with this process. We're very pleased with this outcome. Thank you.
So no old business, no old business. Anybody got new business? Okay, oh, sorry.
Yeah, we did late today receive an application for zoning amendment, and is just as a heads up, we believe that they've asked if we can look at special meetings to expedite the approval timeline. So we'll be sending out a poll to committee members probably tomorrow, looking at some dates about a week ahead of the next scheduled PAC meeting. I realize we're getting into November and start getting busy, so if we can pull together forum on one of those days.
It'd be really great if it was prior to November 5th for me.
Unfortunately, with us having to do like a wide notice and have time for review before we bring it to committee. I don't think we're gonna be able to do it quite that soon, but we'll see.
Just like, if we do special meetings, and most of them have been asked for noon hour, lunchtime meetings, which is it's great in the world. So if people have time to do it in the evening, I'm certainly more flexible evenings than I am during the day.
We provide some options in the poll, and certainly we appreciate that, you know, you signed up for 12 meetings a year and you already had a number of special meetings, so we certainly appreciate everyone's willingness to accommodate these requests. So we'll maybe do a number of, you know, and evening. So hopefully get a forum on one of those days.
Jay, were you able to
I
get
did
to?
not attend.
Okay,
My plans changed, so I
Okay.
pulled out Albert. Communicated back and forth and try to get to the next one, the bigger one. Like this one ended up only being 6 hours or so. And the one you attended was a 2-day meeting?
right.
Okay, I feel like that. Yeah. It's like 9 till 3.
Okay, so they have changed. That's right.
This one was called a seminar or something.
Yeah.
So maybe the next one is about, but anyway, I couldn't.
I would
So,
need
and
more
then-
notice to be able to attend, like. 'Cause
so
I can't-
Oka is always like the first week of June, right? I think.
Yeah, this fall one. They mentioned in your email before that members we see about it. Touch my radar, but I'll make a note in future years to, because we do know it comes up in late September each year, and so we'll just get a list of folks in advance and make registration and open it up. Yep. And it is funny because the one last September I attended, and it was a good 2 full days plus.
And then they had an evening reception on the Thursday. It's just
one day in front.
And then I saw on committee whole minutes that there's going to be a recommendation. Was there a council meeting today? That's right. So there is a name going forward for the new member here who has been a member before as well. So does anybody have anything else? No? All right. So we are adjourned at, or I guess I should have a move after that, please. And okay, at what time?
7:32.
7:32. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for everyone who chose to join us for this planning advisory committee this evening. We appreciate your attendance and the comments and concerns that you brought forward to us. Have yourselves a good evening.